Hey everyone, Sean here and welcome to another detailing video. Today is just, once again, nothing new. Just another video of me just washing a car again, but once again doing the hybrid wash, yes. So we're going to foam the car, rinse it off, and then we're gonna cover it with the rinseless wash, do the contact wash with that rinseless wash, and then dry it from there. That's pretty much the TLDR of what a hybrid wash is. For those who don't know already, it combines two aspects of the shampoo and the rinseless wash because they both have their strengths, they both have their cons, but if you combine them together, they're pretty much like filling in sort of the gaps with each other in a way. So that's why I really like the hybrid wash. So let me just take you guys through once again of what the hybrid wash is really like, and we're gonna have some fun. So once again, we got this lovely foam cannon. That's not the MTM, it's the Vicks. And then I like using these mini jugs to prepare my foam cannon solution. Just gonna toss it over there and then pour this sucker right in there. Like so. This should be, one bottle of this should be enough for the foam cannon. And just about perfect. You can see the foam at the top right there. This is a 32-ounce jug, so perfect for this bottle right here. And this also has this lovely quick connect cap right there. Just twist it in there, and it's already sitting right in there. Okay, let's make sure everything's all set. Time to connect it. Give it a little bit of a shake. Could do like one of these. Start from the back. At least I like to anyway. And then here we go. And yes, the car is dirty enough to call for a wash. So yeah. And for those who cared, that was the Quiver Rogue foaming soap combined with the citrus wash from Garage Therapy. Really like the combination. I actually like the smell because it's like citrusy plus that pineapple pina colada smell. So that makes a nice, even more of like that tropical smell when combining the two. Thankfully, the sun's not really hitting the car, so, and it's like being covered by the clouds, so the light is being diffused, meaning we can pretty much let this sit for a good amount of time now since the clouds are coming in, which means it's not going to be sunny for the rest of the video. So therefore we're pretty safe from any chemical etching or drying or anything like that. So I'm gonna let this sit as long as possible, which is like 3 minutes. And while that's dwelling, we're gonna use the Hero rinseless wash. This is actually the very first one, so it still has that very pinkish, like milky pinkish appearance to it, but it still works fine. So we're gonna use this up because I do have a whole gallon of it. And a 4. Lovely, lovely scent. I do miss it because the new one is more of a strawberry lemonade, don't get me wrong, which is a good scent, but this one is just a little more unique. to me anyway. And I liked it for what it was, but now it's gone from production, so I'm gonna, just cherish this one as much as possible. So you can see why having a more of that sheet wet foam is better, because you can see the thing is not even moving at all. Some places are moving, like right here, because of course the vehicle is coated, but the fact that this is staying on even on a coated car really says that the wetter sort of sheet foam versus the shaving cream thick foam that usually people would like to see, you can kind of actually see practical differences, and that, which is why I prefer the wet sheet foam versus the thick shaving cream foam, because the thick one is heavy, so it actually pulls down too quickly, whereas this one kind of goes down at the perfect rate pretty much. And in fact, even after like a good 3 minutes, the product is still on there pretty good. So that means the chemicals can really do its work. Which is why a lot of those YouTubers, detailing YouTubers, kind of do it that way. And then people are like, why is it not thick, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's why. Now, sometimes, yes, it's good to have fun. It's not, there's nothing wrong with having fun. So the thick foam here and there wouldn't hurt. But just letting you guys know that having a somewhat of a thinner foam is actually more optimal than having thick foam. So when it comes to hybrid washes, of course, you're going to need some sort of foamer. So a foam cannon is good if you have a pressure washer, or have some sort of foam sprayer contraption like the IK Sprayer 12, or anything that foams, really, and then get onto the car. Now, if you don't have any foamer on hand, you can actually just spray it on, not even worry about foaming it. You can get away with it, because that's still doing its work on the car. The foam just adds a little more extra layer to it, like literally, and the bubbles act like extra little cleaning little actions, if that makes sense. It actually performs a little better because of how the bubbles pop, how bubbles work on the car, and that's why people go for that foam. Just for that extra little performance. But you get, like, I say 90% of the performance, or even 95%, as long as you get that chemical onto the car somehow. So you just need something to distribute the shampoo onto your vehicle, and then you rinse it, and you do the rinseless wash, contact wash with the rinseless, and then you dry it from there. All right, now to rinse the vehicle off. All right, now we're done with rinsing the vehicle. Just wanted to inspect the coating and stuff like that. It's still working very well. The LI Detail 8-year coating. It's been over a year. Yeah, it's got great water beating action still. And now we can proceed with the next step, which is to proceed with the rinseless aspect of things. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy going. So in my case, I have here a cake sprayer, for those who don't know, which is just a fancy way to get the rinseless on there. It actually has an electric motor that I built for myself. Whoops. Which has an electric motor that I kind of actually mounted on myself. Put the thing together. So I have this nice, wonderful cake sprayer that I have paid half the price for those, in comparison to those that have already been built, and they charge you like what, $300 at least. So yeah. Just getting the rinseless onto the vehicle. This especially will be very effective in the sun because, well, not that you should apply anything under direct sunlight, but it will be helpful for those who can only work under direct sunlight because how rinseless wash works. And actually, soap does work the same way. You can leave the soap, well, at least with modern soaps anyway, you probably don't want to leave the older car shampoos onto the vehicle for too long under the sun. But modern ones nowadays essentially are pretty dummy proof when it comes to leaving it under the sun. But again, I will emphasize this: if you have the shade, work in the shade, you know. And I guess you do what you got to do to get that shade, if you really want to. For me, I've had no problems having no shade during those times. In this case, I do because time, but in the weather. And yes, now we're in the contact wash part with the rinseless. But yeah, back onto the sun thing. Yeah, so because of how rinseless wash works, you don't have to rinse it off. You can just add it. In fact, I would spray more rinseless wash just to be safe because, yeah, you know, things dry up, you know, and then you throw on the drying towel and then dry it off and stuff like that. Unlike with shampoo, because yes, shampoo, like I said, works the same way, where it does protect your car from being etched under direct sunlight. Again, with modern car soaps anyway. But the caveat to that is because you have to rinse it off, now you're vulnerable to those water spots and other such etchings. So that is why rinseless wash works so well in those situations, because you don't have to rinse it off right before you dry it off. Just make sure the panel is nice and wet before you dry it off. Fun enough. I know that sounds like weird, but that's just how it kind of works, because you want some sort of lubrication as you dry the vehicle, because that's like the most probable cause of those lovely swirl marks and marrings and spider webbings and stuff like that. It's because of the drying process, which is why a number of detailers like to go for the blower to have no contact with the vehicle. But caveat to that one is that you're actually drying the water onto the vehicle. Unless you have deionized water, then that's okay. But you know, what if there's a time where your water deionizer just suddenly needs to be changed right at that moment? Right at that moment, you know, the resin for the DI water it's starting to give, right? And so your water starts to show the minerals and such like that. And then you blow that away with the blower, and then it dries onto the vehicle, and then you get the water spotting, possibly. So that's why I think having that rinseless wash in your toolkit is very handy. It's very helpful. I know it's been helpful for me. But at the end of the day, of course, with everything in mind, not only though you should have those sort of efficient tools, though you should remember to have those techniques. Technique is also very important. You're also very important because you're the one who determines what kind of wash or what kind of chemicals to use in that sort of particular situation. Is the vehicle dirty to call for that? You know, does it have this? Does it have a lot of that? That's where you come in. That's where you decide to use what tool for that job. Do I have to bust out the clay towel? Is there a lot of iron contaminants? Right? Your tools aren't there to tell you that, at least right now anyway. Maybe in the future they'll have chemicals that talk to you somehow, but yeah, you know, you get the point. A lot of things are important when you want that really efficient detailing, which is, yes, of course, the right tools for the right job, but of course you're the one who has to make the call for it. So, yeah. That's why I really like the hybrid wash, because it just incorporates all the good parts of the car shampoo and the rinseless wash. Just remember, when it comes to the drying portion, to just respray the vehicle with the rinseless wash just to make sure. And then, yeah, once you get the techniques down and everything, you'll have a nice, fun, efficient vehicle wash. So I guess this video is more about like why the hybrid wash is really good, I guess, a little more or less, but yeah. And then the other one is just like me talking about another entirely different thing in the last hybrid wash video. And as a bonus for myself, I like to actually go into the crevice of the trunk and get these areas with my sponge. I know you can't see it, but just take my word for it. Just a real quick little dab on it. Yeah, when it comes to rinseless washing, I just like the sponge just because it's so much easier to work with. Having like 12 or what was it, like 6 towels or something, you gotta like throw it into a thing. It's like, I don't know. It's not my style, really. Now I like using a microfiber towel in like certain places and certain little spaces, and then like, don't ever use that towel again until I wash it. But yeah, I always like using a sponge. There's something about it just really works for me, makes sense. I trust this process, so I don't think really has been an issue at all. I don't think the vehicle has had any additional scratches or marring onto my vehicle, which again is why I've really been liking rinseless wash ever since I first tried it out with like something like O&R. That's kind of like the gateway for me, for those who don't know. Now, yes, ever since there's plenty of other rinseless washes out there now, especially even now, it's still flourishing with more rinseless washing, which could say it's a good or bad thing, because yeah, oversaturation could be annoying to deal with, but I'd say at the same time, competition, is always very healthy on the market. So that way they are likely to have improvements in products, and we can enjoy the better products and rinse and repeat, so on and so forth. Is there always a bad side to it? Of course, like everything else. But yeah, it is what it is. And anyway, when it comes to doing the wheels, pretty much like the same exact thing. Put on the vehicle or put on the product or chemical, brush it in, or use your stuff like your brush, all that stuff, and then rinse it off, and then put it on the chemical again. And if you want to do another round, go ahead and then dry it off with the rinseless wash as you're drying lubricant. I like using the leftover foam cannon solution and just throw it into here. Right, and then if it needs a little more to it, then I'm just gonna just throw in something like another car shampoo. I like also using like a Carpro Reset. Throw a little bit in there, and that should be enough for a maintenance wash for your wheel and tires. My tires and wheels are not too dirty today, so I think it's fine. Just a little gentle scrubbing, nothing. I actually like doing my wheels last, just because, well, the sun is away, so I don't have to really worry about the order today. But to achieve the best video when it comes to lighting, I prefer to do the paint first, because by the time I'm done with the wheels, I feel like the sun's already losing that light I look for. So at least we get something out of that light by doing the paint first. That's just my logic anyway, my sort of repertoire. So, I mean, of course, for your situation, if you have enough time, like let's say you're doing it more towards like right after high noon or something like that, then you have all the time-ish, and you can do the wheels first, of course, and then do the paint. Or if you do it indoors, you don't have to worry about anything. So yes, wheels first, then the paint. I'm just doing it in my situation, so take that as you will. And I like using this little microfiber knit thing right here to wash and clean the wheels. Just a real quick one. Nothing too deep, nothing too complicating. The process is still very much the same in the hybrid wash, because I'm gonna rinse this off anyway, just because, yeah, just to be on the safe side. Now, assumingly when you're done with all the wheels and stuff like that, then just a second helping of some more rinse and wash spraying. Then you can proceed with drying the vehicle, just like so. Maybe some of you will say, like, why are you wetting the car before you dry the vehicle? Well, because if you dry a dry vehicle or a vehicle that's on the drier side, you're actually more prone to scratching your car because there's nothing lubricating between your towel and your paint. Believe it or not, drying your vehicle is what's really, the most damaging to your vehicle when it comes to marring and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe people don't care about marring it for the average person, but when you are more of an enthusiast, you're paying more attention to that stuff, so you'll definitely notice and stuff if you're not super careful when drying your vehicle. Again, that's why people have led to believe using a blower would sort of take care of that issue, but there comes another caveat, right? There's also more caveats to more solutions. unfortunately. This is the Rag Company's liquidator. This is like my one of my first sort of like fancy, bougie, not bougie I guess, but you know, like that premium drying towel. Whereas I kind of like used all these other waffle weave drying towels and stuff. But yeah, this one works very well. There, especially during the time it came out. For this little towel, I can actually absorb like most of the liquid. And I have this gauntlet right here just for that little extra helping, just in case. And then, yeah, so essentially the rinseless wash can act like a drying aid as long as you're careful with it, of course. I think the issue that people tend to have is just not having enough rinseless wash on the surface. So sometimes, yeah, people like to have a dedicated rinseless or a drying aid made from the rinseless wash solution at a more stronger dilution, like at least 1 to 128 or 128 to 1 and beyond that, really. But I think for me, I haven't had any issues as long as I stay consistent in this sort of practice. And I like to throw this like towel, pull like this, use the weight of the towel itself to ensure there is less marring instead of like, you know, putting my hand over and stuff like that. I like to use the weight of the product itself or tool instead of that plus the pressure of my hand as much as possible. And most of the time, yeah, the situation doesn't call for the hand pressure. Yeah, I also like to like open the trunk lid to my level so I can like actually have an easier time drawing everything off, including all the little crevices and everything, little spaces and crevices. And yeah, and then leave it up like this so that the water can drip out of the door. And then so you can have a much better time drying it off and not making sure you don't have any extra droplets coming out from your vehicle and possibly causing water spotting from there. Eventually, yes, the rinseless wash can eventually etch into your paint, but that takes a much longer time than your typical water spot. So as long as you pay attention to that stuff, then you'll be more than fine. So yeah, when it comes to drying the vehicle, I like to towel dry. I don't like to blow dry. I only like to blow dry after I towel dry, just so I can get the extra little liquid out of the said crevices and small spaces. Light hand pressure. The car is your friend. You don't gotta press on it. No need for the press. When it's on glass, then it's okay, because glass is much harder. But on paint, then it's a different story. So in a way, yeah, with rinseless washing, you are like pretty much continuously cleaning your vehicle until it's all dried up with the towel. And even up to that point, it actually is still cleaning the vehicle. So you're like really getting any remnants of whatever dirt and all that stuff. Little spots here and there. And that really ultimately leaves you with a nice clean vehicle. So yeah, this liquidator right here, you know, it's not that big of a towel to comparing to like the GOAT or whatever, and still was able to dry off most of my Corolla anyway. Yes, I do still have the wheel to dry off, but at that point I can just use the gauntlet because it's my designated tire and wheel drying towel. So just like so, I'm drying off this wheel, drying off the towel, or drying off the tire, with the towel. And as long as you actually correctly clean your wheels and tires, then you should not have to be worried about getting your drying towel dirty. Because yeah, of course, if that's the case, then that means something wasn't right. So that is it. The vehicle is clean for the most part. I will do my finishing touches on the vehicle, like, a little bit of detail spray in some spots, but that's really much it. And yeah, another clean vehicle, another day of car